going to have Dr. Horowitz back up for an hour with us tomorrow. We got another guest coming up in 5 minutes. I want to quickly go to Craig, Tim, WC, and Bryant. Then he'll be back with us tomorrow to talk more about what we know the flu vaccine is doing to people and more on his affidavit calling for a criminal investigation. Just an amazing thing that Dr. Horowitz has done. Craig in New York, you're on the air. Go ahead, Craig.
Swine flu killed about 10 people in America up until May. You know what the count is now?
Close to 1,000.
In America?
They're saying on the media that a couple days ago I saw the number of 800 and something. Doc, what's the best number you've got on that?
I think it's certainly less than 800, but I don't believe any of it. Quite frankly, the flu itself, you can't. How can you say that this particular thing caused this person to die? What about all of the immune suppressants that they were on? What about their lifestyle? What about all the cofactors associated with someone dying?
It's almost always people that are in bad shape. All the babies and stuff dying have been on heart machines, have been almost dead, old people that are almost dead. They even admit that 36,000 number every year that die of regular flu is totally blown out of proportion.
Totally. So it's really a complete specious report. And who's it coming from? Rupert Murdoch? Ketterman? Rockefeller cronies who control the mainstream media? So you can't trust it. I would forget it. I don't worry about stuff like that, and not if you've got all of the alternatives.
Sir, do you have any other points, Craig?
Well, it's just that it was 10 according to MSNBC, and the Gardasil vaccine killed 32 and made over 700 seriously ill. So
that's a lie. It was much, much more than that. The Gardasil is killing these poor little girls who were taking it, and now they're going to give it to boys. We knew that it would cause cancer. And the other thing is, like the swine flu vaccines, think about this. They've only got 6 weeks to test it. Well, what about all the autoimmune diseases and the cancers that take months,
well, no, they're
years?
going to say the mega flu outbreak was caused by flu when it's going to be the vaccine.
Exactly. That's the vaccines are what's going to be killing people. It's always been this way as long as I've been studying it for 15 years. Vaccinations are the #1 genocidal weapon being used for population reduction by Rockefeller et al.
By the way, I didn't get to this with you, but tomorrow we're going to cover it. The Times of London Billionaire Club and bid to curb overpopulation, a secret meeting of Rockefeller, Gates, Warren Buffett, Ted Turner, and others involved, including people from News Corps, meeting in secret to decide on a plan to reduce world population. And it's the same corporation in New York that funded this meeting. And this was in May 24th of this year. Thank you so much. One more call, then I'll get to WC and Brian. Everybody else, flu calls after our next guest leaves us in about 15 minutes, who's holding right now. Let's talk to Tim in Texas. You're on the air with Dr. Len Horowitz.
Yeah, hello, Alex and Doc. Back in 1976, I remember getting a flu shot. It was the first time something like that had come out, and they obviously didn't know what they know now about the stuff. A few days after that shot, I got so sick with the flu, I don't even remember 10 days of my life. Ever since then, I don't remember having the flu. I know for a fact in the last 15 years, I have not had the flu, and it has been all around me. Have I built up a resistance to it thanks to that shot back then?
No, that's actually, you should praise God for the fact that you're still alive. I would say, first of all, 65, maybe 70% of the people who get the flu shot get horrible flu. And so it's actually causing what it is that's supposed to be protecting.
Hey, my mother never got the flu and was sick for months when she took it about a decade ago. Didn't your mother die from a flu shot?
Yes, my mom passed away from Guillain-Barré, which the governments of the U.S. and the U.K. have just alerted the neurologists from these countries that they should be aware of skyrocketing cases. I mean,
and then meanwhile, Reuters, in a story Friday, says, there's going to be millions of regular deaths after you take the flu. The flu shot didn't do it. Reuters is mass diagnosing everyone, saying there are going to be millions of deaths. But did you see that article, Dr. Horowitz?
Yeah, I haven't seen that Reuters do one. But see, again, Reuters is controlled by the same people. I'm telling you.
The British.
But Glossier. Thomas Glossier, check him out. He's one of the Rockefeller partners in the
Okay, listen, we're going to talk about this more tomorrow, and after the next guest is off, folks, I'm going to go back into that Reuters story. They're getting everybody ready for deaths and saying it's going to be no big deal. Thank you so much, caller. Dr. Horowitz, we'll talk to you tomorrow at noon Central, 10 Pacific. God bless you. Everybody should read your affidavit at fluscam.com. We also have it linked up on Infowars.com. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, Alex. Bye.
Okay, there he goes. And I apologize to Andrew B. Einhorn. We had him earlier set for the start of the show, but this big flu thing getting bigger and bigger in the news and the talk of forced inoculations. You heard people calling in with their nurse wife being told she has to take it or she's fired. That has kind of taken over the news here. I'll be covering that exclusively next hour and continuing with your phone calls. But right now, Andrew B. Einhorn, an expert in the field of statistics and strategic communications, environmental management, public health. And I saw him in a piece in Russia Today, headline, Road Police Blood Tests Are an Act of Rape. Texas passed a law where they don't even need warrants to take your blood. The feds paid the state to do this, and I wanted to get his take on this. I mean, imagine in World War II, the Nazis would have had roadside checkpoints taking people's blood under the guise of DWI with no warrant. This is getting insane. Mr. Einhorn, thanks for coming on with us.
Thanks for having me, Alex. I appreciate the time.
You bet. In your research of this, what was it like to discover this was going on?
It was pretty mind-blowing. I thought we were past this sort of era of big government, if you will, at least of invasive practices of big government. I should amend that. And as I mentioned in my editorial on MyGov, it seems like this is a clear violation of a number of our amendments, the Fourth Amendment.
But it's for the good. We've got to stop drunk drivers, even though Prozac drivers are twice as dangerous and texting drivers are twice as dangerous. But again, we've got to get rid of the Fourth Amendment and have $15 million fines for garage sales that sell a recalled toy or desk. And it's just all about getting the average. But again, tell us what's happening around the country from your research, how the feds are financing this, what's going on.
So it's a pilot program that started about 3 weeks ago, run by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. What they're doing is they're training police officers in phlebotomy and being able to take blood draws and doing it at the station and in mobile blood unit. They can call to the scene of a suspected DUI.
Total federalization. Right there is a total violation of the 10th Amendment.
It's, I think a lot of lawyers would definitely argue that it goes against any self-incrimination law and a deprivation of property without due process of law, property being your blood in this particular instance.
Did you know that if you read the real documents, the older ones, this is a plan for a national DNA registry just to train you to have the idea of police out taking blood?
I did not. I was not aware of that. But
anyways, go ahead. So the feds are training the locals to take blood. Go ahead.
So the two programs that are happening are taking place in Idaho and Texas. And although a similar program has been going on for about 14 years in Arizona, and believe it or not, 2 weeks ago, the Arizona State Supreme Court ruled this unconstitutional, yet the Fed is going ahead with their pilot program in other states where the state constitution, basically, according to the law...
That's right. I first remember seeing this on the air when I first got on air 13 years ago in Tucson, the Daily Star, and my listeners couldn't believe that police were taking blood at checkpoints. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, if you think about the implications of this just merely from a health perspective, it can make your kind of hair on your back stand up in terms of using unsafe needles, potentially forcibly taking blood, meaning that you have a potential suspect who's thrashing around in their seat, and the officer also being potentially exposed to any bloodborne pathogen, as well as the suspect who, and I use that term suspect to mean someone who either may or may not have had any alcohol at that point. This is really up to the officer's whim to determine what probable cause really means, because they do not need a court order to draw your blood. So it really leaves a lot of power in the hands of a few, and anytime we see that, we see potential for abuse.
Absolutely. Again, completely unconstitutional. Here in Texas, in fact, let's just play that clip real fast. Here is a clip of local news saying, yeah, you don't need a warrant anymore. You don't need a warrant anymore to take blood. But it's only if a kid's in the car. It's only if you've had a DWI before. It's only... But a year ago, it was we're going to have fake rubber stamp warrants. Now it's no warrants. A year from now, it'll be, it's just DNA we're taking, just like they do in England. Here it is.
Our top story here on the Night Beat. A little-known law which goes into effect in less than 2 weeks will allow a lot more blood draws across Texas. The Night Beat's Shelton Green is live on North Mopac with details. Shelton?
Tyler, starting September the 1st, police across Texas won't need a search warrant to draw blood from people involved in one of three situations after a crash. Number one, if you injure someone in that crash, or number two, if you have prior DWIs, or number three, if you have a child in your car at the time of the crash. So in other words, blood can be drawn even if you're not suspected of driving drunk.
All right, that's enough. No more warrants in America, and it's just a positive piece for it. And the feds are financing this, a total violation of state law. Go ahead, Mr. Einhorn.
I absolutely agree on this front. I think it's, as I mentioned before, it's a clear disconnect between what people are really wanting and hoping to do, and that's getting drunk drivers off the road, and the reality of the situation and how the program would be executed and all the potential for problems. Outside, of course, of simply the legal argument that it's illegal. And I can't imagine that this will go on for too long. I think if we all do our jobs